In this Podsat episode, Peter Diamandis speaks with Salim Ismail and Dave Blundin, two visionary leaders in the AI startup ecosystem. They open by highlighting the extraordinary pace at which AI is accelerating entrepreneurial success, describing it as a double exponential phenomenon. Unlike previous tech waves, AI is compressing timelines dramatically, enabling startups to reach unicorn status at an unprecedented rate. The fact that 36 new unicorns emerged in just 6 months underscores the scale and speed of this transformation. This rapid acceleration is not just about valuations, but also about the speed to revenue. Startups today are achieving significant revenue milestones in a fraction of the time it took companies even a few years ago. Where it once took nearly 4 years to reach $5 million in revenue, now it can happen in just over a year. This shift stabilizes companies early, making them more resilient to economic downturns and financial shocks. The conversation stresses that this is a historic moment for young entrepreneurs who are uniquely positioned to ride this exponential curve and create vast wealth. Salim and Dave discuss how the structure and size of startup teams have evolved alongside AI's rise. In the past, reaching a billion-dollar valuation often required hundreds of employees, but today's AI startups are achieving similar valuations with far smaller teams, often just 30 to 50 people. This smaller, tight-knit group fosters a collegiate atmosphere where founders intimately know their team members' capabilities, making the startup journey more enjoyable and manageable. They also speculate about the sweet spot for company size, suggesting that value and fun per employee peak when the team is small enough to maintain close relationships but large enough to scale effectively. Beyond a certain size, around 100 to 200 employees, companies become impersonal and management complexity increases. Interestingly, they even entertain the idea of a company of one reaching a billion-dollar valuation, though they acknowledge the loneliness that might accompany such a scenario. Dave Blundin shares insights into how investors should approach the AI boom. Given the rapid pace and high valuations, traditional late-stage investments are often too expensive and risky. Instead, he advocates for early-stage seed investments, where returns can be exponentially higher. Link Exponential Ventures, Dave's firm, focuses on supporting young AI founders with seed funding, office space, accounting, and other resources to accelerate their growth. He also advises investors to pick domains they understand deeply and invest in AI companies within those verticals to better gauge value and differentiation. Another practical tip is to build relationships with multiple seed-stage venture funds to gain access to early deals, which often have limited windows for investment. This approach helps investors avoid the inflated valuations seen in later rounds and positions them to benefit from the explosive growth of AI startups. A significant portion of the discussion centers on the challenges large corporations face in innovating disruptively. Salim emphasizes the innovator's dilemma, where established companies optimized for efficiency and predictability struggle to foster breakthrough innovation internally. He argues that true disruptive innovation requires founder-led, passion-driven teams operating at the edge of the organization or as independent entities. Examples like Walmart's repeated attempts to compete with Amazon illustrate how internal resistance and corporate immune systems can kill innovation. The solution, Salim suggests, is to spin off disruptive ventures or acquire startups and keep them at arm's length to preserve their agility. This model has been successful for companies like Microsoft with OpenAI and Facebook with WhatsApp. The conversation highlights that without this approach, big companies risk being blindsided by more nimble startups. The podcast delves into the fierce competition among tech giants to attract and retain top AI talent. Meta, OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, and others are offering staggering compensation packages, sometimes reaching into the hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars in equity and stock-based compensation. This talent war is critical because access to the best researchers and engineers is seen as the single most important factor in winning the AI race. Salim and Dave note that companies with large cash reserves are aggressively spending to secure talent, even at the expense of short-term margins. The scarcity of AI experts is a bottleneck, and firms that fail to invest heavily in human capital risk falling behind. The conversation also touches on the challenges of scaling seed-stage investment teams within massive asset management firms, underscoring the unique demands of early-stage AI investing. The guests discuss the rapid development and deployment of large-scale AI models, including the latest iterations like GPT-4.5 and the anticipated GPT-5. They highlight the massive computational resources required, with companies like xAI, Elon Musk's AI venture, deploying hundreds of thousands of GPUs and even acquiring entire power plants to meet energy demands. This scale of infrastructure is unprecedented and represents a new frontier in AI development. However, the episode also touches on setbacks, such as costly training runs that failed due to minor bugs, illustrating the complexity and risk involved in pushing AI capabilities forward. The conversation underscores that while the hardware and energy challenges are immense, the real breakthroughs will come from software innovations that improve efficiency and performance, offering better returns on investment. The discussion turns to AI's disruptive effects on traditional industries and employment. While AI has already replaced tens of thousands of tech jobs, the broader impact on the workforce is expected to accelerate dramatically. Predictions suggest that up to 80% of jobs could be affected by AI and automation by 2030, with humanoid robots becoming affordable and widely available within a few years. Despite these concerns, the guests emphasize that AI will also create new, more interesting jobs and augment human capabilities rather than simply eliminating roles. They highlight examples like Salesforce, where AI is already handling up to 50% of the work, enabling employees to focus on higher-value tasks. The conversation stresses the importance of companies proactively embracing AI to avoid being disrupted themselves. A particularly hopeful segment focuses on AI's transformative potential in healthcare and longevity. The guests discuss advances in molecular design, where AI models can engineer molecules and proteins with unprecedented speed and creativity, drastically shortening drug discovery timelines. This capability promises to revolutionize treatments for diseases and extend healthy human lifespans. They also highlight companies like Fountain Life, which use AI-driven diagnostics to detect diseases early, potentially preventing conditions like heart attacks and cancer before symptoms appear. The integration of AI with biological sciences is portrayed as one of the most impactful applications of exponential technology, offering the possibility of adding decades of healthy life to millions of people. Looking further ahead, the podcast explores the emerging field of brain-computer interfaces and human-AI integration. Companies like Neuralink are making rapid progress toward implantable devices that can decode speech and enable direct brain control of external devices. The roadmap includes increasing electrode counts and expanding capabilities to multiple brain regions, with the ultimate goal of seamless AI augmentation. Salim and Dave envision a future where humans can occupy humanoid robots remotely, experiencing the world through their senses and controlling their actions. This integration could dramatically enhance human abilities and open new frontiers in communication, creativity, and physical interaction. The conversation frames this as a hopeful vision of technology augmenting humanity rather than replacing it. The episode also touches on practical AI applications that enhance everyday life, such as virtual try-on apps for fashion and AI-curated personalized experiences. The guests imagine AI systems that not only recommend clothing based on body shape and preferences, but also surprise users with curated lifestyle experiences, from date nights to weekend adventures, all managed through subscription models. This vision extends to AI acting as a personal concierge, managing budgets and delivering serendipitous moments tailored to individual tastes. The idea of an Amazon Prime for living an amazing life is proposed, where AI continuously learns about the user and orchestrates delightful experiences. This reflects a broader trend of AI moving beyond productivity tools into deeply personalized lifestyle enhancement. Another fascinating topic is the emergence of AI-generated music and entertainment. The podcast highlights the success of AI-created bands like Velvet Sundown, which have amassed millions of monthly listeners on platforms like Spotify without any physical members. This phenomenon signals a new era where AI can produce vast quantities of creative content, challenging traditional notions of artistry and intellectual property. The guests speculate on future possibilities, such as resurrecting classic bands through AI-generated new music and virtual concerts featuring AI avatars performing superhuman feats. They caution that rights holders should embrace these innovations rather than resist them, as collaboration with AI can unlock new revenue streams and creative opportunities. Finally, the conversation addresses concerns about AI safety, superintelligence, and governance. While acknowledging the potential risks of self-improving AI systems, the guests argue that proper logging, monitoring, and bounded operational parameters can mitigate many dangers. They emphasize that current AI lacks true self-awareness or agency, and that fears of runaway superintelligence are often overstated. The discussion calls for thoughtful regulation and transparency, including AI systems auditing their own behavior and reporting to human overseers. They stress the importance of defining clear boundaries and maintaining human control, especially in critical applications like autonomous vehicles.